Hello and welcome to highlights of stage one of the 24 edition of the Giro D'Italia Women. A 15.7 kilometre individual time trial kicks off proceedings in this year's Giro as RCS take over as the organisers, bringing it in line with the men's Giro D'Italia. Stage one in the beautiful Lombardy city of Brescia. Technical start, a couple of 90-degree turns on the way out, an intermediate time check at 6.8 kilometres, hot dog turn, and then the climb up to the castle with a very technical cobbled descent, and then the run in towards the finish. Many teams opting to put their big-name favourites off early in the day due to the weather forecast. Juliette Labous came in to the finish to knock Nicola Noskova off the top of the leaderboard. Last year's second-placed rider, putting herself up there in the general classification. She comes into this year's Giro as a potential winner. Lotte Kopecky in the Belgian National Time Trial Champions colours. What can the runner-up, the Tour de France fam, Avec Zwift and the world champion, do in this Giro? She clearly comes in as Team SD Works leader. She went through the intermediate time split, marginally up on Juliette Labous. And then coming in towards the finish, she would put herself to the top of the leaderboard with this ride. But it was touch and go. Only 4 seconds at the end between Kopecky and Labous. Elisa Longo-Borghini, the Italian road champion, in the colours of Lidl-Trek. She had passed her Italian time trial title on to Vittoria Guazzini this year, but out on the road, Longo-Borghini, after crashing out of last year's Giro, back to her brilliant best and having a phenomenal season. She was setting the time checks alight out on the course, and she came into the finish and she would set the new fastest time. Another rider that had started early on in the day. The team of Lidl-Trek clearly had got the tactics right. Sprinting up towards the line, Longo-Borghini went to the top of the leaderboard with that ride, 25 seconds faster than Kopecky. 45.691 kilometre an hour ride. Were the Italians going to get the dream start to the Giro that they wanted? Grace Brown of FDJ Suez, though, was not going to make it easy for them. The Aussie time trial champion out of the start gate and would go into this Giro time trial, given the distance and the pedigree of the Aussie, as the big favourite. It was level at the intermediate time check. It would mean that Grace Brown was going to have to throw everything into the return leg to Brescia, and she came into the finish. She was within striking distance of Longo-Borghini's time. Brown driving for home, and in the end it would come down to a fight and just one slender second at the line. Brown marginally outside the time of Longo-Borghini, but it does set up stages to come and an absolute thrilling edition of this Giro. Lieke Nooyen of Team Visma, Lisa Bike, you would say at World Tour level, this is the ride of the young Dutch rider's career. Came into the finish, she would knock Kopecky down to fourth, went into third place with that ride. Absolutely phenomenal time trial by Lieke Nooyen. Could she keep herself on the podium? Brodie Chapman, second in the recent time trial in Thuringen in Germany. She had quite different conditions to the early starters. Dreadful rain at the turnaround point. Brodie Chapman, given the conditions that she was dealing with out on the course, was heading back in towards Brescia, and she was pushing the time of Elisa Longo-Borghini close. The final climb up to the finish, roughly 900 metres in length, averaging 5.1%, maxing out at 7.4%. Brodie Chapman hit the climb. Could she carry that speed to the top and then take in the treacherous switchback descent on the way down? We had seen Silke Schmolders crash on the descent. Brodie Chapman took it in her stride and she came in towards the finish, and she would put herself into third place. So Italy and Australia second and third in the standings. Ruth Edwards, the winner of the Thüringen stage race in Germany last week, has taken a Giro stage win in her career. She showed her time trial form to take that Thüringen race. And Edwards, who retired from the sport and came back this season with the team of Human Powered Health, is showing what a force to be reckoned with she is in 2.0 of her career, you would say. Stop the clock with a time 30 seconds down on Elisa Longa-Borghini. She went into 8th place, and Thitat Nguyen of Vietnam and Roland was the final rider to finish. She was over 2 minutes down on Elisa Longa-Borghini, which meant that the first Maglia Rosa and the first stage win of this year's Giro d'Italia women goes to Italy and Elisa Longa-Borghini. Your top 10 looks like this. Elisa Longa-Borghini takes the stage ahead of Grace Brown and Brodie Chapman. Nguyen, Kopecky, Hartmann, Labous, Edwards, Cabana and Harreis, your top 10. Elisa Longa-Borghini will start stage 2 in the Maglia Rosa. A great start to this year's race for the Italian, but it is tight. It could come down to a fight for bonus seconds. Bet that Grace Brown will look to try and wrestle that off her shoulders. But for Italy and Elisa Longa-Borghini, what a dream start to the 2024 edition of the race. Longa-Borghini sprays the famous Astoria Prosecco, who always produce a limited edition Prosecco for this edition. We start on the banks of Lake Garda tomorrow in Sirmione. It is a beautiful setting for tomorrow's stage. It's fairly lumpy, just 2 Category 4 climbs along the route. It should be one of the opportunities for the sprinters in this edition. We head into Volta Mantovana for stage 2, 110 kilometers. Could it be a day for the likes of Chiara Consoni or Lotte Kopecky? Make sure you join us for more action tomorrow.